And we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jessper Maquindang. And if you're here to build a stronger team and a more effective culture, you're in the right place. In each episode, we provide strategies, tips, and advice on helping your business or company thrive. And today, we have a very special guest. And as we welcome our guest, let's learn more about Jason Price. And let me get your intro real quick.
All right, do it up. I can start
There
it
we go.
too.
We are live. As CEO of Aston-Price LLC, Jason Price leverages 25 years of expertise in talent development to help businesses adopt artificial intelligence for operational efficiency and growth. His innovative user-centric approach embeds principles of responsible AI to manage change, enhance creativity, automate processes, and transform workplace dynamics. Recognized with accolades like Goldman Sachs, 10,000 Small Businesses, Yahoo Super Star, and Microsoft 365 Copilot User Enablement Specialist. Jason is dedicated to preparing organizations for the future of work. Let's welcome Jason Price. Jason, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so excited for today's conversation dealing with artificial intelligence and how we can use it to really leverage the human sides of organizations. So, the first thing I'm excited to hear about is Jason, tell me about the research in the field.
This is a conversation I think that started with you and I at the smokehouse over some beers, but it has grown, and all the research that we do is related to artificial intelligence, and it is tough to keep up on it. There's a new story. There's 6 new stories every day. And we aren't concerned so much with here's all the cool things that it can do. Our concern is creating a world where human expertise and artificial intelligence work together so we can build a better world for all of us. And in working to realize that vision, we help businesses within the organizations, and we love to reach out to change management teams and human resource teams within, so that we can work on the real problems that are going on. So I think you had asked me when we were sitting having beers, you're like, give me a stat that kind of tells the story of what you're dealing with. And I think the one that was the most telling was the how of these projects. In fact, that 30% of generative AI projects were going to be abandoned before the end of the year after their proof of concept, after they had gone through a pilot program. That's a huge failure rate. And so I was intrigued as why is that happening? And when I looked further at it, this is a Gartner stat. The VP of analysis there said, after all the hype of last year, executives are impatient. They want to see returns on their investments, but they're struggling to prove and realize value from it. And so I was like, well, where is that coming from? And the more that we looked into it, we found a couple articles. Obviously, I think you and I could talk about everything we brought up at over our dinner there, but fear of replacement being the last one. We're not that's the one I'm going to talk about last, because it's obviously very important, but there's even more challenges that businesses are dealing with that come in front of that. So if you don't mind, I thought I would kind of dive into what those are.
Absolutely.
Okay. So there's a gentleman on the Forbes Council named Alex Goryachev. And he said there's essentially 3 major mistakes that companies are making right now. The first thing is they're prioritizing the technology over the people. So they're all too happy to get it out and get it going in the organization and start figuring out how we can maximize AI's potential, but they're not doing the basics that we know as change managers, as human resource managers, that we need to start with a vision, and a transformative vision, and one that speaks to everybody, not just getting leadership all on the same page and aligned. and not just speaking to middle management, but one that speaks to everybody inside the organization. How do you get out of that trap? And Alex said that the easiest way to do it is start by asking the employees, what do you want AI to do? What opportunities do you see AI providing for you in your daily work? What challenges and concerns do you have with AI in that space? And by kind of starting with the grassroots, you can start to piece together what's going to be a vision that generates buy-in at all levels.
Oh, that's an excellent insight. And there's some research I did as well, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
So, the first thing I saw was that companies that integrate artificial intelligence and human collaboration effectively can see a 20% to 30% increase in productivity. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, that is, I see that stat a lot. Harvard Business Review has a couple of great articles on integration from like 18 months ago and from 6 months ago. And that is the key, is the integration of the human collaborating with the AI, not being replaced, not being trumped by one or the other. It is where the human is empowered by the technology and can farm off the mundane tasks that they don't want to do, scheduling meetings and drafting email responses and all that stuff that takes up so much sweat equity and doesn't yield anything back to us. We want to be more creative. We want to work with our customers for longer and better relationships. We want to be serving our people inside and outside the organization. And so, but we're stuck doing all of this. But if we can work together to give AI and direct it, it's almost like we have to delegate it like an intern. Come in here. This is exactly what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. This is the result I want you to bring it back to me in. And then it can serve you, and it'll start to get better as you are giving it better prompts and delegating direction to it better. And it starts to yield more to you. Then you get this harmonious place. So I agree with you 100%, Jessper. I think that's a great stat.
I like how you said harmonious place, because when it comes to really integrating AI into the workforce, we have to find that right balance to ensure that it's really complementing what we can do in the work that we provide, to the organization. And speaking of which, there's another statistic that I saw, and I want to get your thoughts on it as well. And it's 78% of human resource leaders say that AI and automation will reshape the employee experience, making human-centric roles. So what I mean is coaching, leadership, empathy-driven work, that'll make it even more critical. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that is true. No surprise at 78%. I see that as we get better data within we're going to be measuring things a little bit more concretely, because the idea of business value that we have to generate has to speak to us in terms of metrics. How satisfied are we at our job? How engaged are we? That's kind of level one. Level two is how well are we learning to utilize AI, because all our skills are changing in the next 5 years, which is something I'm sure we'll talk about in just a second. Number three, what is the level of usage and behavior change that comes about as a result? Do we incorporate AI into our working day in that arrangement? And how does it serve us in streamlining our workflows and giving us more time? So that kind of like that usage metric, which then leads to the top of the pyramid. And that is business impact. So that is how much more productive we are, how much more productive the entire organization is with AI in place, how much more creative, all these things stand out on the individual level. Now you elevate it where aren't all of our departments have their streamlined processes working. There's even more time that comes out of it. And again, it allows the entire organization to rethink how we serve our customers, how we make and distribute our products, how we serve and develop our employees, so that all this starts to work more. So I think we'll see a lot more metrics. The AI is going to be driving value on that level, and it's going to trickle down to specific activities that I do in my daily work that then I can talk to my manager about, because that elevated level of performance, visibility into my performance, now allows me to reinvest time, be better at what I'm doing, and and uh, and shine in front of my manager. So I would say that is going to be key. And of course, HR, we're also looking at things in aggregate. So how is the organizational behavior changing as a result, with greater or lesser engagement? That we're measuring at like 6-month surveys. How does that change as the ship starts to turn? What do we see occurring as a result in aggregate across the entire org? And then it allows us, with more data, to be more diligent in how we advise our business partners to run better operations, to make more sales, to take your pick on all of that. I think you're right on with that as well.
Very interesting. Now, I wanted to go back to a point that you brought up earlier. Wanted to get your thoughts on how work will change over the next 5 years.
So I thought this was interesting. I heard this a couple months ago. Are you familiar with the half-life of skills? I think I brought it up when we were having dinner.
Tell me
So
more.
this is not a new topic, but the half-life of skills means that over time, as technology and better processes come into play, we farm off again like some more of those tasks, and we change. That means that these skills become obsolete, and then we reskill in other capacity and different competencies, so that we can, of course, do all those things we intend to do better. So we, over time, turn over skills, and so do all of the employees inside of our organization. That, of course, is accelerating. And since the way that business will change over the course of the next 5 years, impacting, I think AI is supposed to impact 1 billion jobs across the globe, that the half-life of all of those skills means that in 5 years, half of what you do today is obsolete. It's gone. It's AI is doing it, or robotics is doing it. It goes down into technology and better process, which means that we're going to evolve our skills and reskill for how to better use AI, how to better manage our personal and organizational and departmental data, how we better utilize the resources and some of these resources we can't even imagine yet. They just haven't been invented. They're going to change. So we have to, the most important skill then we can cultivate in our employee base is adaptability, the desire to change for the better, which is tough because right now everybody's completely weighed down with change fatigue. We have lots of different initiatives that organizations are launching. That's already bearing a lot. And here comes AI and robotics, and that puts even more change on our plate. And we know that we have to get ready for what that new world is going to have in terms of those skills. So where does it start? With the adaptability, and then starting immediately into training. I was going to save this for later, but like, since it comes up and wrapped in this topic you brought up, is that we now have to start providing AI literacy to our employees, because they're getting it from all disparate sources right now. Some are getting it all. Some are investing a little bit into it with their friends or their kids or somewhere else. And some, generally on the younger generational side, are already like well into all of it with their phones and all. So but there needs to be a standard, a base, so that we can level set all employees and then move upwards, move them upwards in the skilling chain.
On that note, I was curious to know what are some ways leaders can really promote that idea of that AI education to keep their employees ahead of the game?
Here's a couple things that I found. So, first of all, I want to start with a stat because I know you love stats, Jesper. So, number one, 61% of people who use AI at work were not trained for it by their company, which means they're getting it somewhere else and the quality is catch as catch can. And number two, this year, only 25% of companies are planning to offer training on generative AI to their employees. So there's this major gap. How do you fill that gap is your question to me. And my answer is actually comes back to like a McKinsey study. They said, what company initiatives could my business provide me that would make me more likely to increase my daily usage of generative AI? And these are not going to be unfamiliar to our audience today, but they are not usually the first and foremost thought of how to incent our employees to move forward on their learning journey. At the bottom of the rung is OKRs, objectives and key results, or key performance indicators that are tied directly to usage. Number two is involvement with a change initiative associated with this. They want to join the team. And usually we're not asking them because we're so afraid of what's going to happen if we put it out there. I'll come back to that. Number three was explicit instructions from my manager. So my manager tells me this is what you should be doing with it inside your daily work, which is good, but it also means that now it's incumbent upon us to train managers in what they have to be doing in providing those instructions. That's all the best practices, right? Number four, offering certifications, giving them something that actually, a certificate that goes up on the wall, or actually they can post on LinkedIn. It becomes part of their profile for their career growth. Great. Number five, incentives and rewards. Now this starts to get into like monetary investment from the company into that progress. But hey, an additional coffee card to take down to your local coffee shop, that kind of thing. Number six was greater access to AI because they don't have it right now and they're going out, they're finding it and they're bringing it into work themselves, or they're using it in different places. They want to get into it and start using it. They're far more advanced than leadership thinks they are. Number seven was integration into the daily workflow. That is a challenge. That's the best practice that you have to do, and that involves creating probably a center of excellence for your company that identifies and prioritizes the specific workflows that make the most sense for each department, and then determining what the best practice is, and then pushing that out through different channels to get to employees so that gets integrated. And number eight, which was, I think 48% of employees said, yeah, this would make me do it, was formal training. So we still aren't doing formal training. Most companies aren't doing it. Only 25% are planning it this year. It is time for us to start laying that base of AI literacy and helping our employees progress. So when we bring to them AI and they want to get into it and start playing with it and using it, they're ready. They're ready in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitude, that adaptability.
Excellent point. And while we're on the topic of AI literacy, what are some ways organizations can make it formal training as an actual part of the onboarding and training of their employees?
Yeah. I got two answers to that. So what do I think are the elements of an AI literacy program? It is number one, what is AI and how does it work? what's going on behind the scenes, because when we can't see, the fear of the unknown kind of creeps in. So breaking that down and giving them an idea of the mechanics that goes on with AI. Number two, it is how AI can be useful in your personal life so that they can draw direct equations or equivalents to what they do in their real world. I don't know, making a grocery list, planning a vacation, but doing something that shows them that, oh, you know what, this actually is pretty freaking cool. And it gives them the access and it makes them a little bit more comfortable with it. Then number three, it is here's how we imagine a couple of these different use cases might work inside our organization. Oh, so they can see, oh, yeah, here's where I can use it, a chatbot to research my employee benefits, or a knowledge base, or a wiki on like specific processes, or I can use it to kick off a workflow that runs something. So we kind of build something that shows them a little bit of that, and then most importantly, we ask them, what do you see? What can you imagine? Because now they can bring up to us ideas that we hadn't even thought of. And it shows then, once again, that the organization values their input and can incorporate it into, once again, their daily work. Imagine if you incented innovation on that scale. Hey, give us a use case that we actually end up building out, and it saves us this much time and this much money. Here's a spiff for saving the company money. I had a part in that. That was me. That's the type of thing I think that an AI literacy program could consist of. And so the back end of your question is, where can you get that? I know the education space at the post-secondary level starting to build this out. So California universities are starting, and community colleges up and down the state here in California are starting to incorporate that. There's all kinds of AI literacy, so you can find it out there if you just go searching.
Wow, that's great. And then let's take a deeper dive into this idea of using artificial intelligence to really maximize human potential. Jason, I'd like to learn more about your journey. What really inspired you to jump into this type of work?
I have been on this journey for quite a while. Um, I would, I can't point to any one event that said, that was it, that's your inspiration, keep going. But I met you in a leadership development organization, Junior Chamber International. And one of the four core concepts of that organization is entrepreneurship. And when I started following this, I was still in the workforce. I was working for Microsoft Partners. And we saw that there was this gap in just kind of the modern workplace tools of video communication and chat and file sharing and everything. I'm like, there's a huge gap, and people were sometimes not investing in that and just throwing the technology at their employees. And then the employees are like not using it, or certainly not using it to its full capability, and they're not gaining proficiency in it. So after a while, they're like, why do we have this? This other tool over here looks really great. So I was like, this is a problem we need to solve. And now it's become exponentially magnified with the onset of AI. We were all at one point around 2 years ago when ChatGPT kind of launched its thing, and we're all like, what the hell? And we went and played with it, or we ignored it, whatever our reaction was to it. That's where I said, this problem's always been around, and mature organizations get there, and ones that don't invest, they end up spending a lot more than they should with these tools. There's a huge opportunity to close that gap. I don't spend a lot of time with enterprise level companies. I actually prefer working with medium, mid-market, and small business. They're always the last to get these advances. And that's where the greatest gap exists, is for them. And that came about because of my, I went through like a mini MBA program with Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses. I've worked with small businesses. And I'm like, I can't go back to where I was working only in enterprise space and ignoring small business, which I feel is even more critical now to maintaining the standard of living that we all enjoy in the United States. Regardless of all the politics and everything going on in the market, small business employs half or 2/3 of everybody that's around, and we have to. It's become my mission to support that.
Oh, very nice to hear that. And then, as we take a deeper dive into this idea of leveraging AI to maximize that human potential, now you touched upon it plenty of times earlier, but wanted to really get just a greater sum of its parts. And really, from your perspective, why should leaders pay more attention to this idea of using AI to maximize human potential?
So, everybody on this call can agree that a fully activated and engaged employee is the best one to have in the company. They're more productive. They're more, they contribute more. They inspire others. They influence the organization in the direction that we've laid out as part of our business strategy. They drive it. They are the leaders in the organization. We know CXOs, they're all always leading, but these are the people inside that drive it. And we constantly look to bring those in and fill it up like good to great. We want to get the right people in the right seats on the bus and drive that bus. So empowering our people to allow them to become that ideal we're talking about, where AI is managing their mundane tasks and they are more creative, they're spending more time with our customers, they're doing all of that. It's worth for us to get there. Now, the question that immediately follows is, so if we are empowering our employees to do this, what's that going to cost? And what are we going to gain from it? And that comes back to the business value question I kind of raised early, which is these AI projects that are going into their pilot, their proof of concept, they're getting stuck there. And it is a combination of different factors where the business value is not clear and identified. There's no transformative vision attached to AI, and leadership is not aligned on that. And they don't know exactly what the financial KPIs are going to be as a result of this technology in play. The other challenges are unskilled talent and poor data management, which has always been a problem. Just trying to search for the right document, forget it. And there's all these challenges that are in play that many organizations have been not addressing or snapping a Band-Aid on top of it over time. And if we want to realize that transformative vision, we have to put into play, I think of it as kind of like three things. It's talent, activation, and scale. So our talent is, we've already been talking about it, reskilling our people to utilize generative AI. And there's a full kind of track dedicated just to that. And it involves internal marketing and creating a center of excellence that is going to define those best practices, train everybody up, and then let them find the new opportunities. Activation comes from those best practices, because as we see those occurring across the organization, now we start to drive that maximum business value out of the combination of human and artificial intelligence. And when we see that equated on the back end, the KPIs going up, the business impact going up, the customer satisfaction going up. That's where the return is coming from. That's the return that senior management needs to see. And then the scale is managing the risks of transformation. So we all know here, just getting somebody to use use Workday by itself, switching up to that, or putting somebody through a new initiative that we've come with, has its own risks to it. They're magnified with AI because of that fear of replacement. So we have to be very tight about those risks, manage them correctly, minimize their severity and their likelihood, so that the middle point, that activation, can drive through.
Good to know. And while we're taking a deeper dive into this idea, I, I was curious from your perspective, as for the leaders and managers navigating this world, what steps can they take to make sure they get a really strong start in using AI to maximize the people they have in their organizations?
Yeah. Number one, human resources has never been so critical. This is job security for all of us, because this is going to be an endeavor. Number one, go to your C-suite and get them aligned on a process, or put your voice in to drive it. I think it's going to, in the end, kind of go over to IT, but it's not just an IT effort. One of Alex Goryachev's other points is that this is not just an IT initiative. It's going to impact everybody across the entire organization. And that means we need to be fully invested in it. And I'm here as a representative of our people team, and this is what it's going to require. And let's make sure that that's a part of the plan. So I think 60% of organizations fear that their leadership does not have a transformative vision and a plan associated with that. So let's make sure that we are asking for it, and that everybody on that C-suite is invested. It has to come from the top. Number two is finding the right models that are going to work for your organization. So that's why it kind of goes over to IT, but you should ensure that one of your team is represented on that pilot or that proof of concept. So as they go through the process, you're fully informed on it, and your team can put the right assets into place. So when it does realize value, now you can manage that transformation change inside the rest of the organization, because you put your stake in the ground early, and you asked for certain assets to come out of that would support the entire endeavor.
And on this same note, keeping leaders and managers on that journey to success, what steps should they avoid?
Okay, so there's a couple barriers to transformation. Some of them are prevalent, some are not. So that first one is not knowing what we're going to get out of it. Not lack of a vision, lack of clear business value. I sound like a broken record sometimes. Number two, approaching this with conventional logic. This is not just a plug and play technology that we're putting out into the organization. Okay, so instead of entering your form over here, you enter it over here. This changes the way people think and work. So understanding that and grasping the reality of the magnitude of that change allows us to open ourselves up to new ideas as we go through the process. Number three is our talent, our unskilled talent. We have to ensure that that is top of mind, that we want their feedback early and often, so we can incorporate their ideas into this vision, into our business-based roadmap of use cases. Let them find them. It's like natural. And if you are, Jessper, you mentioned the magic word at the beginning of this whole thing, culture. If we want a culture of learning, if we want a culture of innovation, then this is the perfect seed opportunity to get that going. So talent is number 3. Number 4, inadequate controls for risk. And not just people risk and transformative risk, but data governance, data security, all of that has to be in play. As partners to IT, we should understand the ramifications of that. We probably already have policies and procedures relevant to it, but understand that that's something we should bear in mind as we go through the process. That are we asking the right questions to ensure that information security has everything in place? Number 5 is poor data management. So this goes back to how much stale data do we have? Do we have a retention policy in place? What can we get rid of that we don't need? Because we're taking so much along with us. And when we start using AI to go to our relevant data and pull stuff out, we don't want it pulling out stale data. We don't want it pulling out redundant information or obsolete information. We want it to give us crisp, relevant, and fresh information to build its ideas off of and feeding our creativity. And number 6 is manage the costs. Understand what it's going to take to implement it, to license it, to manage it. And if we have the other key things in place, the data management, the talent, and the business value, we should know what our return on investment will be, which should then be in the positive so that this whole thing works for all of us.
Excellent. And in this journey of leaders and managers navigating this world of artificial intelligence and human potential, what questions should they think about as they move forward?
Where are we right now? Where do we want to be? Where are our people right now? Where do we want them to be? This is that's a primary thing for me. What's the current state of affairs? And what do we create as that transformative vision? What is that future state? So we understand the gap between those and we can analyze the root causes of all of that, be that company history or whatever it happens to be. But we understand what all of those are so that we can put the solutions in place to be deployed along this implementation plan, and for us to realize the implementation plan isn't going to be 4 or 6 weeks, flip it on, good, you go. This is an endeavor. It is going to change our operating model as we better serve customers and build better products and all of that. It's going to change it. And so we need to, I lost my train of thought. It's big, it's a big change. So we plan to put those solutions in place along the way to head off those typical traps that we don't want to fall into. So we better manage the cost of that project. We better manage the cost of our people. We're going to have to invest in them. And that means like new learning. Like, are we going to say to them, okay, take off half an hour every Friday morning to go learn more about AI or about how we use this? We are reskilling them for the future. Are we invested in doing that? And then as those solutions roll out, measuring the impact of all of it. So we know how much is going in and what is coming back to us on, again, those 4 key indices: satisfaction, learning, usage and behavior, productivity, and impact.
Those are big points to think about. And as we wrap up, Jason, what is the best way for people to reach you if they'd like to learn more about the work you do?
Sure. Aston-Price.com, or you can hit me at jp@aston-price.com. That's our URL. You can find me on LinkedIn too. I'm connected with Jessper, JP California. JP, my good friends call me that. JP California is my LinkedIn handle.
Excellent. And before we go, Jason, what is the final piece of wisdom you'd like to share with our audience?
I feel like we've hit so much of these, which is that our greatest, here's what I'm going to say. Our greatest treasure and our greatest challenge is our people. So if we know that the problem is not technology, we just focus on getting our people through the process, the tech will be there and we can create that better world that where cherubs are singing and strumming their harps and rainbows are happening. That's fluff, but making it work for each one of us, that's a future we can all believe in, and one where humans always have domain expertise to bring to the table, powering an AI-driven future.
Love that piece of wisdom. And to everyone out there, I want to let you know that really enjoyed you having us join me and Jason and I. We hope you picked up some great insights in today's conversation. If you know any leaders or managers who could benefit from these ideas, please feel free to share this conversation with them. Last but not least, again, I want to thank Jason Price, our guest, and to everyone out there, thank you again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next conversation.
Cheers.